The views expressed by the host of this podcast are not opinion-based or for entertainment purposes. They are actually facts and truth, no matter if other people like it or not. It is the Michigan sports truth, and nothing can ever stop it from being correct.
Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics, and welcome to episode 217 of the Michigan Sports Truth on Spreaker. The show that reveals the facts instead of just being honest with lazy opinions. I'm Taylor Phillips, live from my basement apartment office in the northern outskirts of McBain, Michigan, and with me on Facebook Messenger audio from the state of Georgia, as always, is my co-host Ed Smith. You can follow him on Twitter at EdSmith313 and me on Twitter at DT2Phillips with two L's. And also add him on Facebook as Edward Lawrence Smith, but he goes by Ed Smith. Thanks so much for being on here with me, Ed. How are you?
Doing quite fine, Taylor. It's quite important to get right back on track in terms of our time and pacing to keep up with today's news, and quite apropos in some ways. Before we get anything, I think it would be quite rather appropriate if we started by paying our best condolences and respects to the families of those three people that, in the world of sports that tragically passed on today. That would be, of course, Pat Summitt, Buddy Ryan, and I believe one other person. What was his name, Taylor? I apologize.
Former Central Michigan Chippewa football player Zerlon Tipton.
Yeah, very, very, very quite unfortunate in all three cases. I'll let you get to the third one, but the first one, Pat Tillman, this one seemed to be the most surprising of all things. 2016 so far has been a very, very bad year in terms of losing beloved public figures of both the sports and entertainment world, from the likes of David Bowie to Muhammad Ali to Prince to Gordie Howe. Now to here with what we saw with Pat Summitt and in Buddy Ryan, but first Pat Summitt. Whatever reports that you've been seeing, video and verbal obituaries have been given about her career, her life, her legacy. There is as true now as it was then. She was a pioneer. She was a trailblazer, not just for women's collegiate basketball, but for women's sports, period. I dare say you probably wouldn't be witnessing, quite a pristine evolution of women's sports that we're seeing today, and had it not been for the likes and the efforts of what Pat Summitt had done back in the day, making sure women's college basketball got more recognition, got more media attention, helping it lead into now that has his own lucrative network deal, has his championship game on primetime television with ESPN. I think something like that could not have happened had not been for the efforts of Pat Summitt back then. So I thank her for her legacy in that regard. I wish all my best condolences to her family in that essence. And also for Buddy Ryan, what else could you say? What else could you say? He was a legendary, one of, if not the most legendary on two Super Bowl winning teams, both the Colts in the 60s and, of course, the 85 Bears with famed 4-6 defense, which seemed to be quite duplicated amongst other teams, but never quite replicated. Buddy would find himself with some similar success, not quite as high as what he reached. He found some okay success in Philadelphia before branching into other teams on the later part of his career. During one of those stays, of course, which was in Arizona, helped introduce the coaching. I guess you could say the league to the coaching debuts of his sons, Rob and Rex. Who we all know what they are today, what they've molded to, what they've become. And for that, both are now coaching on the same staff as the Buffalo Bills, with Rex being the head coach. Rob, I think, is he still defensive coordinator, I assume, following the footsteps of his father. So they definitely learned all they could in terms of the game of football from their father, that's for sure. That's why they're in the positions that they are right now. So I'm definitely thoughts and condolences to the Ryan family as well. A sad day already as it was, so it even got even more sad, as you'll explain with the third passing, Taylor.
Yeah, it was Zerlon Tipton, the second CMU running back to die since 2012. It was Ontario Sneed dying at age 25 in August 2012. But Zerline was signed by the Indianapolis Colts in 2014 as an undrafted free agent. Tipton was released from the organization on December 21st, 2015. According to CM Life, Andrew Surma wrote, in the second paragraph, according to Central Michigan Life, a student-run newspaper and news site. According to WJBK Fox 2 in Detroit, Tipton pulled into Mike Reel's Roseville Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealership at about 9:30 a.m. Tuesday while removing a duffel bag containing 2 guns inside from his trunk. Police said one of the guns accidentally discharged, striking Tipton in the stomach. I listened to an audio file of a 911 call on SoundCloud via the Detroit News, and saying the caller who called 911, he told them that Tipton, quote unquote, shot himself accidentally. He was reportedly in fair condition and able to speak while being transported to the hospital, but later died from his injuries. He was 26 when that happened. Want to pass out my condolences to my school, the Central Michigan University, the campus of Central Michigan University, the Chippewas and their athletic club, especially their director of athletics, Dave Hickey, and the entire Chippewa Nation at CMU in Mount Pleasant, and all the Chippewas and the alumni all over the world, especially my friends down there. That is all the news of Zerline Tipton. I pass my condolences and my prayers to his family and the entire Chippewa Nation. Now, let's wipe away the tears, as you two would say, in lyrics of their song "Sunday Bloody Sunday," one of their classics. It is time to cut to the chase and cheer up and buck up and try to carry on with this episode on Spreaker. We start off with the NBA draft and how the Pistons did in it.
Left sideline 3 and he answers.
The Pistons at pick 18 overall in 2016 picked up power forward Henry Ellenson, and then at pick 49 they picked up Michael Benajay. He's also a power forward. Most people all over Twitter were saying that those two were pretty good draft picks. But again, they'll have to wait. I also heard from Keith Langlois, the web editor of Pistons.com, headlining, the Pistons plan to add 2 more big men, according to Stan Van Gundy, their head coach and president of basketball operations, to avoid being caught short up front. What that means is in free agency, besides Ellison and Benajay. But the Pistons, but in that article it says the Pistons have Andre Drummond, Aaron Baines, and Henry Ellenson as 3 center. They have a team option on Joel Anthony, who played 96 minutes in the last season as the number 3 center. But Van Gundy didn't mention him when discussing next season's roster, and it's likely the Pistons will decline the option of Joel Anthony to free up $2.5 million in cap space, which wouldn't be too bad of an idea, because
I think there was one thing that was pointed out in the article or alluded to was how Stan Van Gundy looked at how Cleveland progressed en route to winning an NBA championship, and also to a degree what Oklahoma City did in the Western Conference Final. The versatility and adept play of their big men helped them came close to the verge of winning a series in terms of Oklahoma City, and played a good part in winning the title for Cleveland. Now, obviously, LeBron James and Kyrie Irving play a big hand in that. But it had not been for the rebounding efforts of Tristan Thompson, he was who I consider was the third best performing player in that series for Cleveland. It's not quite that possible to see Cleveland come down from 3-1, even with the Herculean efforts of both LeBron and Kyrie, respectively. And as you saw with Oklahoma City, the series before against Golden State, it was a big reason why they got the 3-1. And unfortunately, they just couldn't find a way to close the door for Golden State coming back. But as it speaks to my point here, it's starting to become a trend that if you have enough versatility in one certain area, it'll help guide you to a long, good win this league. For Golden State, they have plenty of shooters. San Antonio, they have plenty of good team players that mesh well together, and in some instances have a superstar or two among their group as well. That always doesn't hurt. And what we're seeing right here with the case of Oklahoma City, or at least for now, and what we're seeing for now with Cleveland is if you build the best rebounding team, you win the win the board game, you control possessions, control the pace of the game more because you control the ball from the onset. It gives you time to dictate the pace and see how it goes in terms of whether or not you win or lose the game. So rebounding has always been an important part of the game, but it's become, in my view, especially important now. And OKC and Cleveland have done a very, very good job in establishing that. So the Pistons are trying to emulate that. I wish them luck with that. I think they're, in a way, on their way towards that because they have one of the best rebounders. I would say, top 5, in my opinion, in Andre Drummond. His abilities to get to the rim and snatch down board after board after board. So they're trying to build on that in a sense with Ellenson. Now, the key here, the upside to this, though, in my view, and I think which thankfully was shared in my view, in my opinion, from an article from Bleacher Report, in terms of breaking down draft prospects. In fact, this one was from this past February on the 15th, specifically breaking down how Henry Ellison could carry out on a pro level, and it alluded to an opinion I felt was indicative of how he can be so far, which was a younger, more unpolished Kevin Love type player, where he's big enough where he can get you down, or at least what Kevin Love was during the prime of his year, the main point of his years in Minnesota, which was have a big enough body to get you the boards, play down low, get you good minutes in production to paint, but also every once in a while step back and hit a good jump shot. Now, Ellison doesn't have the 3-point capabilities yet, but he does have, in my view, a nice, good mid-range jump shot to help balance out his skills in the paint. So that's a good weapon for him. And another thing is he is a 75% free throw shooter. I know it's not exactly best in the league, but compared to what you get horrendously from Andre Drummond, that'll be a vital thing to have. Even if Drummond still struggles with his free throw shooting next year, you can say, hey, you know what? Let's plug in Ellison. He's a 75% guy. We'd be more dependent on him to hit that free throw if they want to try the hack approach, even if that rule is still legal or whatever. So you feel more confident with that. It's just, a bit of a downside here. I think he's going to be a bit of a project. I think that's what Andre Drummond was, and in some instances, like I mentioned before, with the aforementioned free throw shooting, it still is. But he's developed nicely in other areas so far to become in my view, one of the best centers in the league. It's been validated, I think, in a sense, with the selection of the All-Star game this past year. So the best is yet to come from Drummond. Now we have a chance of doing that same thing potentially with Ellenson. And if it comes to a point where, hey, Ellenson's your starting four in a few years from now, when Drummond's still in his prime as a starting five, you have yourself a nice front court, in my view.
Yeah, definitely. The Pistons could actually add a third center to the roster. I understand basketball rosters, especially in the NBA, are pretty short. But you know what? I think they. In fact, they need to. They need to enlarge. In my opinion.
Primarily, they need backup. They need backup bench depth. Period. That was one thing that constantly harmed them in this past season, especially when it came to playoff time, where you needed, get some vital rest for your starters, so they can give out more than what they give in crucial moments of the game. And at the end, that was probably one of the reasons why they got swept by Cleveland. Just some of their stars just couldn't get enough of a break, to help, get that rest while the game was kept close, and then come back in. Use their youth and energy to finish it. You didn't have a good bench for the most part, if not all this season, especially in playoffs, with the likes of Steve Blake as your point guard. So you got to find a way. This is probably your main focus this past offseason. Improve your bench, improve your depth. You're doing that so far with your forwards and your big men. Now I want to see them do that with their guards, specifically at point guard. Because you need at some point this offseason to get you a good guard that can give you valid production off the bench. I would prefer scoring, but if he has, some, in terms of unique ball handling and sharing ability and able to set guys open up with good passes, which will, of course, lead to baskets, I'm fine with that also. But primarily, I need a good scoring guard that can come off the bench and help, maintain or help get us back into games while our starters are on the bench. So that's the next point of thing that the Pistons need to focus on. They've done good so far with their forwards and their big men, but now I want to see them try to step it up with their guard depth at the moment.
I love it.
Yeah, that would be a great idea, considering Joel Anthony not being used. Considering Joel Anthony not being used, but by the Pistons on the bench. As in the late stages of the season, they might have to cut Joel Anthony in order to free up $2.5 million in cap space, just to get Henry Ellenson on board here, and they want to use Henry Ellenson more than Drummond and Baines. I read in that article from Keith Langlois. I just finished that Joel Anthony statement right there. I read in that article that Drummond and Baines might be considered to be used on the court together. It's not. I'm not saying it's a disaster. They're trying to. I understand they're trying to be. Stan Van Gundy's trying to help the Pistons improve even better, even further. But I just don't think that's going to be much. Considering Aaron Baines still can't rebound in traffic, unless Andre Drummond could help him, back him up. They could coexist.
I would definitely consider it to be a bit of a defensive liability, So, hey, what you can do? He's signed to your contract, and he's listed as a center, so he's mainly there to use as a body. But I think we have drafted someone that potentially could be a way better, who can definitely outperform him in many instances, and that's definitely a good thing. So, I think, no, we won't see Ellenson get shifted to the lineup immediately, but he just plays out of his mind and the spare man as he does, gets his chance, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I see him developing, coming into a zone, and then down the road, like, say, 3 or 4 years. So this will be saying, wow, the Pistons, let's say this is one of their moments where, in the consecutive drafts they've had with Drummond and Caldwell Pope and now Hero Valentine, and of course the offseason, the moves and the deals to get Jackson and Harrison and Morris, they could say, oh, wow, this is how they started their, created their building block, their building pieces to making them to a perennial contender. Who knows, maybe potentially a world title team, but I think that's going to be further down the road, not what you're going to see immediately. They're not going to jumpstart the way Golden State just came out of nowhere. I think that's going to take time. It's going to take patience. But we have a good staff. We have a good coach / president and Stan Van Gundy. We have a good GM and Jeff Bauer. We seem to have more involved ownership, believe it or not, from Tom Gores after what seemed, and rightfully so, a skepticistic start to his tenure as owner of the franchise. So we're seeing this team, continue to establish, hey, they're on the up and up. We've had, it's been a bad stretch of years about the end of the 08 season, but they're a little bit on the comeback trail here. And it just comes down to, let's wait to see what they do with the next step.
Definitely, yep. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, we wish the Pistons good luck, but now we have to transition to the Red Wings here. It was NHL draft time last weekend last Friday night, and Ken Holland had a plan in mind. He decided when it came time for Ken Holland to pick draft pick number 16 overall in the 2016 NHL draft. He decided to trade the 16th pick along with Pavel Datsyuk's the remainder of Pavel Datsyuk's contract money, which is $7.5 million, to the Arizona Coyotes for the 20th pick overall in defenseman Dennis Cholowski, and the 53rd pick defenseman Giovanni Smith, and center Joe Vitale. You told me last weekend that you don't know whether to give Ken Holland credit or to think that the Coyotes got suckered. I don't. That's according to Jeff Moss of the Detroit Sports Rag, as you can follow him on Jeff Moss on Twitter at Jeff Moss DSR. He said that the Coyotes did not get screwed. It was actually a good deal for both teams, especially for the Red Wings. The Coyotes have the option to terminate the remainder of Pavel Datsyuk's contract and free up that and eat up that $7.5 million. But for the Red Wings, what benefits them is they don't need to trade other players such as Andreas Athanasiou or Evgeny Svechnikov. They can actually have all the room for to try to get Steven Stamkos on board. They were looking at Steven Stamkos moving forward, along with defenseman Kevin Shattenkirk, Dave Backes, Franz Nielsen, and Milan Lucic from the Boston Bruins. Shattenkirk and Backes for the St. Louis Blues. Stamkos to the Lightning. What team does Franz Nielsen play for again? I forgot. I actually didn't even look it up.
Franz Nielsen, I haven't heard a name like that in quite a while. It seems like the truthful in that one.
I'm looking that one up on NHL.com here.
While you look it up, I was going to comment briefly on what you brought up, especially when you bring in the comments that Jeff Moss made on this matter. And if it turns out that this is a good deal that benefits both teams, I'd say hooray for them in that sense. But it was when thinking about it, it reminded me, it kind of paralleled a little bit. I don't know if you can agree with this or not, but how Dave Dombrowski, I guess one of the last good things he did as general manager for the Tigers, was somehow trade away the albatross of what Prince Fielder's contracts was starting to become due to the fact that he hadn't delivered in the playoffs. They traded that away to Texas, to the Rangers, in exchange for Ian Kinsler. And it seems to be I was kind of reminded of that situation because I think it's fair to say the Tigers, even though they don't have any, haven't had great success now or getting back to the playoffs or doing much in the playoffs at all, I do say they were the better benefactors of that deal because now they still have one of the best. Now they have one of the best leadoff men in baseball. When you have a leadoff man that can get on base and set the table for guys like Miguel Cabrera and JD Martinez and whatnot, Victor Martinez to feast on, that gives great value and that lets you know how much the team really kind of feel on that trade. But moving away from that, back to what I thought here, I figured that was something like that could happen for Detroit, but like you mentioned, Moss brought up how it could be good for both teams. But even still, I'm just amazed at the fact that Ken Holland somehow find a way to get rid of Datsuk's remaining cap space because more than likely the Wings were going to take a hit on that and was going to really hamper the chances of trying to add a name like a Steven Stamkos or whatever the case may be. So this definitely frees them up because that $7.5 million is oof. It's like you're taking like a bit of a pressure weight off of a sore spot on someone's back here. So it alleviates the Wings to do something a little bit more, be more loose with their financial setting here in terms of how they're going to set their team up in the offseason. It'll be interesting to see how they do in terms of getting Stamkos. Some media, or at least on Twitter, are proclaiming the Wings as the early favorites to get Stamkos. Okay, I think we need to be a little bit more hesitant in that regard because you never know what other team could open up the checkbook here to get Stamkos here. So it's a wait and see in that case.
Now here's a baffling article that in terms of free agency in the Red Wings here, they were, according to Bob Duff of HockeyBuzz.com, a Red Wings blogger, the Wings were holding strong interest in unrestricted free agent Matt Martin, a left winger for the New York Islanders. He will hit unrestricted free agency on Friday, but from what I've been told on what I've heard from what I've read on Twitter, he can't kill penalties, and that's very detrimental. And if the Red Wings are actually even considering it, and if they do that, they are just trying to lose. Period. They are trying to miss the playoffs.
They are on the verge. Well, in that case, that'd be good. That means we can finally fire Ken Holland. But in terms of if on their minds, if they think this is their way of getting better, so you have a better chance of having a deeper run in the playoffs, this is not the key to do. If there's one thing you need in the postseason besides good goaltending, it's having a great penalty kill. Adding a guy like this to your squad does not improve your penalty kill chances. That's like saying, oh yeah, let's name Kyle Quincy our starting defenseman. Oh,
no.
Bad idea waiting to happen. That's an accident waiting to happen. So I really hope that's not the case here. It's a mere rumor, and they're not actually serious about trying to add a person like this to their squad.
Right. That option would be illogical. To even consider picking up Matt Martin and signing him to a high price deal. I mean, Ken Holland is Ken Holland. He's like sometimes crazy about free agents, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he has a tendency to offer in the past, just ridiculous offers to old, washed-up veterans who, for some reason, either it's a way to get, maybe in a way to kind of pull one over Holland and basically play him for a fool, give him a repeated case of buyer's remorse, they take the money. You're like, oh, wow, you're really giving me this much? Okay. And Holland just keeps falling for it time and time again. But, maybe he's learning a little bit better, or maybe he has a better advisor under him now saying, you'll be better, maybe that was the person that convinced him to find a way to deal Datsuk's cap space. So if he has an advisor of sorts under him, I'd say good, but I want to see more because I'm still leaning towards I want to see him be replaced sooner rather than later. So he's still got loads of improvement to catching up to do to meet my terms, meet my standards.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
But yeah, that's about it. Well, we're gonna have to wait until Friday and see what happens. Hopefully they get Steven Stamkos and a better defenseman. By the way, about Kevin Shattenkirk, the Blues wanted Dylan Larkin in a trade for Kevin Shattenkirk, but the Red Wings don't want to give him up. Ken Holland already knows that.
Yeah, that would be remember the scenario I brought up. I think probably bit of our latest episode. How could this be a Cameron Maven for Miguel Cabrera or giving away John Smoltz for nothing? This will be in the category of giving up John Smoltz for nothing.
Yeah, and that would be even a tougher pill to swallow. In other words, I mean, like an extremely tough pill to swallow, like a metal pill. A metal pill.
Yeah.
So, I probably don't see that trade happening. Thankfully, because the Red Wings in my mind, the Red Wings are planning to keep Dylan Larkin. They just need they come to think of it, they don't need a big star defenseman. They just need a defenseman that can just get it done.
But they need an adequate defenseman. I'll take an adequate defenseman because what we've seen from Kronwall, especially Jonathan Eriksson, it's like you're watching an infield of Ryan Rayburn and Brandon Inge.
Yeah,
little
together.
Don Kelly. Oh God.
Oh my God! Oh man, yeah, just like that. And Kyle Quincy, who was already released, but we can still put him. We can still imagine him being on the ice.
Which one would you call him? The Kelly, the Rayburn, or the Inge? It's hard to tell, isn't it?
Probably Don Kelly and Ryan Rayburn.
Oh. Ugh.
Well, the Brandon Inge would be slightly the lesser of three evils right there.
Oh yeah. He'd be top rank in terms of dog crap measure. Second would be Rayburn, and I think because Kelly was more likable, Kelly will be third. Even though he stunk pretty much as a player too. Good guy, bad player.
Oh yeah.
And we're seeing the case being repeated here with our Red Wing defensemen. So if we could find a way, to have our hockey equivalent of getting improvement, finding our own Iglesias, if you will, our own Kinsler, if you will, or something like that. I'd be very warm welcome to the idea. Is what I'm trying to get to. My apologies on that. I'm very tired. Excuse me, but I'm holding up here.
Hang in there. Yep.
Yeah, but I think I'm having myself pretty good. I don't feel sleepy. It's just been a long day. But
that's
as the case may be, the Wings, they don't have to do an extravagant manner, and I kind of agree with you with that. If you just find an adequate improvement of your defensemen, you're already a better team than what you were last year. And then, hey, if you find a way to land that big signing, I won't call you favorites to win the cup, but hey, I think you're on that fringe line of contenders again. And all you need to do if you're a fringe contender, just get to the playoffs, and anything can happen. Just get to the Nets, because you never know. Some guys could freeze up. Goaltending could get very hot, as what the case has been proven the case to be true in many instances in recent years, and all time really. And just have timely plays. Kind of parallels with what you have in baseball, where you need good pitching and timely hitting from your guys. Some of your well-known heroes and some unsung heroes. So they kind of yin and yang with hockey, in my view. So if the Wings can find a way to get to that level, I'm all for it. I just don't trust if Ken Holland can still, at this point, he's done good so far this offseason, but I don't know if he can keep it up. I mean, because for goodness sakes, he did resign Drew Miller. So it's not to say it's been a flawless offseason for Kenny Boy. So he's, like I said, another example. If he still got a lot to prove, meet my goals and meet my standards here.
Yeah, we forgot to mention the Red Wings re-signing Drew Miller to a 1-year, $1.025 million contract. That's part of keeping the roster the same as it was the last few years, kind of, or the last 2 years, more likely, especially last year. Yeah, Drew Miller, bad penalty killer. The Red Wings penalty kill was better off without him when he was injured. It's just a really bad signing. If they would have sent him down to GR, that would make it more worthwhile.
I guess it'll end up being what it was with Brandon Inge, where it was just too little, too late. You just had to find a way to just cut him. But I guess they don't. Either they don't think they think it'll be harmful to their camp because of how harmful it could be to their cap space or whatever, or they're just doing it out of loyalty, which I think it's mainly more the second one, which is a dumb reason. Like I said, proving that Ken Holland still needs to be, I guess, have an advisor of sorts with him at all times, because Ken Holland, that's the Ken Holland that I know would make that kind of decision in recent years, with exemplified in that re-signing of Drew Miller.
If the signing were to be in a negative fashion, it would be signing him to a minimum wage contract, as in like a punishment for not getting the job done on the penalty kill.
I mean, it's not a bad contract. I mean, it's a 1-year deal. It's not like it's costing you too much money. It's just I don't like what it means, what it represents. And again, like I said before, loyalty can only go so far in any realm whatsoever. But if it's to a point where it's starting to cripple your team, you've got to find a way to corral that. Ken Holland still hasn't learned. He still hasn't gotten the message, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I guess Ken Holland is trying to be fair with Drew Miller. He's not trying to like just cut him loose or anything like that. Ken Holland is trying to put Drew Miller on notice that he hasn't earned enough money by getting the job done. He needs to earn more by doing better on the penalty kill. But if he doesn't, then it might as well be bottoms up.
I guess, but you could have just been more direct. I mean, the writing's kind of been on the wall for the past few years anyway. I doubt Drew Miller is going to have a resurrection. He's going to have like a Channing Frye type of resurrection at this stage of his career. So, wouldn't it be better to just cut ties, or at the very least not bring him back? That would seem to be a much more direct and, in my view, a smarter option.
Yeah, because I can't stand the way he plays. I can't stand his gray hair on his face and on the top of his head. Somebody get him just for men jail, for God's sake. The guy looks ugly and he sucks on the ice. Period. It's time for the youth. It's time for the younger players like Andres Athanasiou and Dylan Larkin and Anthony Mantha to step right up. Give them a chance. Anthony Mantha on the power play, 2 goals. You send him back down and two power play. Oh, 2 power play goals. In just 2 games, and you sent him back down. Andreas Athanasiou, when he was called back up, 8 goals, 9 total on the season, 14 points total, 5 assists, and Jeff Blashill and Ken Holland still don't give him a chance anyway for no damn good reason, because they think oh, he doesn't he's still just learning. He's still just learning. Come on, use him to finish games.
If they're holding their age against him, then they're more dumber than I think they are, or think they were.
Yeah, and that's exactly the case. That was exactly the case in the late stages of the past season, this calendar year. I just can't stand it. It's just aggravating.
It's like, it seems like, you would this would be an example of taking one step forward and then taking two steps, maybe even three steps back. You're seeing what you're doing. You move Datsuk's cap space. You find a team that's willing to take that on, free up some more money to possibly go after a guy like a Stamkos, and then, you just do something as unneeded and unnecessary as this. Makes you wonder, what, it's just going to be the case that we're going to be seeing now for the next couple of years, or at least until Ken Holland is still tenured as a general manager. If not, it doesn't make me feel confident for this team's chances of having any deep playoff runs in the near future. Unless somehow Holland can find a way, to make a big splash this offseason, then my interest will definitely peak at least a little bit. I mean, who wouldn't? Who's wouldn't here in that case?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Franz Nielsen plays for the New York Islanders. He's a veteran. He is a center. I believe who could replace Pavel Datsuk, because Datsuk was a center before he retired and went back to Russia. If you think about that, he's a free agent. He's one of the 5 free agents that the Red Wings have on the list, as I mentioned before, along with you-know-who, Steven Stamkos, Kevin Shattenkirk, David Backes, and Milan Lucic. Franz Nielsen last season scored 20 goals and picked up 32 assists, 52 points. And the playoffs, 3 goals, 3 assists in 11 games. That's 6 points. That was a -3. +1 in the regular season. His NHL career, 119 goals, 230 assists, 349 points total. His career in the playoffs, 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points, a -6. Oh man. Well, that which is not really an important stat.
That's not impressive.
Not impressive, no, but yeah, -6, depending on the performance on the ice, which is actually important. So, only 12 penalty minutes last regular season, and only 2 in the playoffs. That's pretty clean. That's a good attribute right there.
It's one thing to say, okay, he doesn't take idiotic penalties, but you got to prove yourself. Okay, then you're a level, or you're not complete scrub, but you're not that shining brightly either. So he still has ways to go to make improvements on that regard. Having a -6 in terms of being representation of how you perform in playoff games in your career, that's not a good indication of whether or not a team, in my view, a team can and possibly should sign you.
I absolutely agree. So, with all the hockey out of the way, it's time to recap the Tigers and analyze them a little bit.
That one is long gone.
Well, after our last episode, the Tigers completed the sweep of the Seattle Mariners in a game which Brad Ausmus kept Andrew Romine out there, and the game went into the 10th inning, second extra inning game in that 4-game series. That was actually the first, and only, but it was the second walk-off win for the Tigers. Understandably, that was on a wild pitch with the bases loaded and nobody out. Bases loaded and 1 out. With 2 outs was the wild pitch. With 1 out, Andrew Romine struck out on 3 straight pitches. He was the starting center fielder because Cameron Maben just needed a day off, but he was available, and Brad Ausmus used him as a pinch runner for some reason. For Victor Martinez, another one of the best hitters in the Tigers lineup, on third base, Andrew Romine, and he kept Andrew Romine in the game to bat with the bases loaded and 1 out, and Andrew Romine just like that struck out on 3 straight pitches before the wild pitch. While Ian Kinsler was at bat, Maben came home and scored the game-winning run easily. A walk-off wild pitch. Tigers win 8-7. I mean, not 8-7, but 5-4. 5-4. Apologies.
I think you could say that wild pitch bailed out Ausmus for making a yet another bad decision. Like I said, I don't care if Victor is at an older stage, older age, a later stage of his career, and he really has no effective speed in his legs or in his knees. Legs or relative health in his knees. But I'm sorry, that's been one of my better performing hitters this season. In fact, he's making a much better improvement than what he had from that dreadful 2015. He's looking not quite 2014 AL MVP runner-up, but still pretty darn good. So why in the world would you consider taking his bat out of that line, out of the game at any point? Him or for that matter Miguel Cabrera, but we're talking about Martinez here. It's baffling beyond belief. But again, when you look at who's making the decision, it becomes more clear to you. It's that dunderhead, dunce, Brad Ausmus.
Yeah, and throughout the series, Brad Ausmus just keeps playing Andrew Romine and Mike Aviles out there when nobody was injured. Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't remember hearing anything about injuries to, Iglesias or Castellanos or Kinsler. Like, why are these guys? I understand a little bit.
Not as of late, no.
Again, I don't even understand what Aviles or whatever, or Romine, whatever the case may be. One of those guys starting in the outfield, to give Maben a rest. I'm sorry,
no.
but Maben is one of your, okay outfielders that you got. He's a better.
Well, not just okay, but great.
Right, while we're waiting on J.D. Martinez to get back, so there's probably be an opportunity to test him out to see how well he can keep up, But so the coolest momentum early are placing him with this track is just
stupid.
Just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Well, more like a gun to your head, a gun to Brad Ausmus's head there, to the organization's heads. Yeah, you just can't keep playing Andrew Romine the entire game in a tie game or a close game or whatever. Andrew Romine sucks at the plate. He keeps striking out on 3 straight pitches, and then Brad Ausmus and then Stephen Moya got hurt with a bum knee, had to sit out the entire series against the Cleveland Indians, in which the Tribe swept the Tigers. The Tigers yet swept the Seattle Mariners. I forgot to mention that bailed Brad Ausmus out, all of it. But to me, I don't think any of those wins even matter. Brad Ausmus, I still think Brad Ausmus deserves a little reprimandation there.
He deserves accountability.
Nonetheless, whether you win or lose.
He bears some form. Well, yeah, you'd imagine you got to bear some form of responsibility one way or another. And the team, let's be honest, they've been, up and down like a wagon, for the past couple of weeks or so. You lose 2 series in a row to the White Sox and the Royals, 2 or 3 to Chicago, 3 or 4, including 3 straight to Kansas City. Yeah, you sweep the Mariners, but Mariners had their day. Are they that dangerous of a team this year? And yet for some reason, you once again get pimp slapped by the Cleveland Indians. Like, for God's sakes, I understand a team having your number, or maybe there's something in the water where they're being influenced and inspired by what the Cavaliers have done in the NBA Finals. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but You mean to tell me the Detroit Tigers, a team that's 39-29 against all the other teams, that's a plus 10. That's over 10 games over 500 margin in baseball. I would consider a pretty damn good record. Yet they're 0-9 against the Cleveland Indians. Like, really? We could beat any other team in this whole league, but we can't beat these clowns?
I'm not sure if I guess the Tigers are probably just fooling around. The Cleveland Indians are getting a little too cocky with the.
Well, they need to stop because the second half. They need to stop because the second half is going to be here sooner than they know it, and then it's going to be okay. Time to get serious. You know, you don't want to be goofing around. You know, during a middle of what could be a crucial point of the season, and then all of a sudden the pressure's on you to try to make that back up, where it could be too little, too late. So you got to find a way to stop the bleeding now before it spreads out to something more dangerous and more out of control.
Absolutely. Analyzing further that series against the Tribe, like I mentioned before, Stephen Moya got hurt. He was day-to-day with a bum knee or a bruised knee or whatever. But anyway, Brant Ausmus kept shuffling between Andrew Romine and Mike Aviles. I don't think he had any other choice, considering with JD and Moya both out due to injury.
Now, I understand death, but at some point you got to find a way to ride what's been the better half for the most part. I think Cameron Maben should have gotten one more extra start to help you win one of these games potentially.
I think Cameron Maben started all three of those games against the Indians. It was the right field position that was in a hole. Justin Upton and Cameron Maben were out there. They both started the 3-game series, so it's just the right fielder position that had a really huge decay with J.D. Martinez and Stephen Moya both out due to injury. Andrew Romine started in right field, reached base twice in 4 plate appearances, a walk and a swinging bunt single in the 9th inning. And then Mike Aviles went 0 for 3 Saturday, and then he went I think 2 for 4 or 1 for 4, 1 for 4 with a solo home run. He stepped it up a little bit, but still wasn't enough. Jordan Zimmerman of all people, and getting drilled for 7 runs.
Verlander had an awful outing on Sunday.
Giving up 8 against the Tribe, and then in between, Anibal Sanchez returning to the starting rotation, giving up 4 runs in 6 innings, and then he was sent back to the bullpen again.
Oh boy!
And then earlier tonight, after the Monday off, the Tigers faced off against the Miami Marlins, and they fell behind 2-0 early, and then 3-0 going into the bottom of the 5th, and they drop a 7 spot with an Iglesias 2-run homer to left into the seats, and then a Miguel Cabrera home run deeper into the seats in left field, a 3-run home run to give the Tigers the lead, 5-3, and then Nick Castellanos a dead center 2-run shot into the bushes for a 7-3 lead. Mike Pelfrey got touched up for 4 runs, 3 of them while on the mound. Bruce Rondon gave up that RBI single with 2 out that made it 7-4, but Rondon got the inning finished. He got a hold. Justin Wilson got a hold. Shane Green got a hold despite allowing the first two batters to reach first and third. And then Francisco Rodriguez almost pitched a 1-2-3 inning and still got his 21st save. The bullpen did a decent job, if not great.
No, I can't say great because he still gave up 1-2 runs or something like that after Pelt.
Just 1.
Still gave up 2 runs after Pelt. 1 earned, right? Because that fourth base runner was on Pelfrey. But still, your bullpen didn't get a hold on at least one whole run here, which could make this game a lot less stressful for the fans to do. I mean, they're already going through a lot for that 7th spot. Hopefully that team can use this as sort of like that wake up, get a chance to seize the moment type of feeling. Could this be a turnaround of chance? We'll have to wait and see. But it's you got to find a way to continue momentum after this because Miami, they're not exactly a world beater, but find a way to come back. At home at least, show up for the home crowd. It's something could be used as a nice spark to get back on the right track of things.
I definitely agree. But let's talk about Mike Pelfrey. Before his start earlier tonight against the Marlins, in which he gave up four runs, he gave up 6 in Seattle. That was, I think, either Monday or Tuesday. But anyway, 6 runs. That was on a Monday. That was the first of a 4-game series against the M's of Seattle, the Mariners. Tigers still won that one in an 8-7, 12-inning slugfest. Justin Upton with 2 home runs, including a walk-off solo home run. Mike Pelfrey was recently getting the hell beat out of him, and again he gave up 12 hits tonight, Tuesday night.
12 hits, 4 runs, yet somehow the team came up with a win. Well, listen, Pelfrey is that guy where, he's your back-end starter, he's your 5th guy. You were going to get a Jekyll or Hyde performance out of him. It's similar to what we got out of Brad Penny. I don't think it was that bad a level to a degree, or God forbid, a Mike Morov in 03. But Pelfrey, he is what he is. He's not some type of underrated guy. He's a middle-of-the-road journeyman pitcher. Like his whip has always been either ranging from the 1.3 margin to his almost a full 2.0. So it averages out to a career 1.5 whip. So in fact, he's kind of on pace to do way worse in the whip category than what he did last year with the Twins. Whip, of course, is a combination of walks and hits allowed in the inning per pitch. So it boils down to, can you keep base runners off base, which would better your chances of holding leads or keeping the game tied as much as possible. And Pelfrey, has done quite a good job, but that's what his career has always projected him to be. So he is what he is. He's going to be your Jekyll and Hyde, fifth man on the rotation. It just depends upon, you got to depend on your better arms, your Verlanders, your Zimmermans, and your Michael Fulmers to be better consistently. It's on them. I guess in a way, pick up the load, but again, you kind of expected that of them coming into the season. Well, at least, you expect that of Verlander and Zimmerman. Fulmer just came out of left field, pardon the pun. But, it is what it is with Pelfrey.
And speaking of Pelfrey, want to know something more ironic? He actually picked up the win because of that 7th spot that the Tigers dropped in the bottom of the 5th inning when they were down 3-0. And they managed to hold on, and Mike Pelfrey pitched the 6th inning, or portions thereof. And the bullpen did their job, held on for him, and gave him his 2nd win of the season. He is now 2-7. He still has a 5.02 ERA. I'm not saying he's terrible, but he's not too good either. He's an average pitcher, mediocre at best.
I would say that he's like I said, he's a journeyman at this point. Been in the league 10 years, hasn't had shown.
That's what the Tigers don't need in their starting rotation. They need better starters. I'm not asking for an ace, but a better 5th starter. I would say a better.
I wouldn't be too surprised if they tried to trade for one near the deadline this year. I wouldn't be too surprised.
That's what I was going to mention. Yeah. I think they should trade for a 5th starter, but that's going to be our one of our 5 questions a bit later on in this episode. Comparing Pelfrey to Sanchez, Sanchez already being moved to the bullpen, but I would consider moving Pelfrey to the bullpen too, and then trading for a better fifth starter because I think the Tigers' starting pitching needs to improve, especially after that Cleveland series. Even though I would give props to the Indians to Miranda McCoy's Indians, she's an Ohio girl, by the way. They are the best team in the American League Central Division. Congrats to her and her tribe. But the Tigers' pitching was terrible. They were just throwing meatball after meatball after meatball against these Indians, and they can't do that. They need to mix things up.
It was like watching a horror show, and you can't turn your head. You want to, but you just can't.
That's right. The Tigers should trade for a fifth starter because they still have Justin Verlander, Michael Fulmer, Jordan Zimmerman, and Daniel Norris. Daniel Norris coming up tomorrow at 1:10. Wednesday at 1:10. I believe Michael Fulmer pitches in Tampa Bay because he did not pitch in that Cleveland series at all. This is a temporary 6-man rotation that Brad Ausmus is trying to operate, that we're witnessing right here, right now.
I guess, but so far it's not off to a good start. You're seeing Sanchez being put back in the bullpen, and now you saw, Pelfrey, having an okay, but nowhere near as.
They gave up 12 hits.
Feel better, right? 12 hits in a start.
That's not okay. Even if he gave up just 4 runs, giving up 12 hits is just so unacceptable. Yeah, that can't happen. A starting pitcher cannot give up 12 hits.
I mean, it's on. That's more. You want to laugh at the team that got the 12 hits, because how in the hell do you not cash in for more runs?
It's like giving up a lot of hits all game long. I mean, come on.
Ugh.
You got, as a manager, Brad Ausmus should have pulled Pelfrey after that fifth inning at least, or maybe the fourth. That's
like an equivalent to a team's defense giving up multiple third down conversions on third,
or in between,
drive after drive after drive, but yet somehow they either get a key turnover or whatever, and they still win the game. That's the definition of the Tigers. They had a bend but not break. They did a lot of bending, but it didn't break.
Man,
tonight at least.
I know, yeah. That was a lucky win that the Tigers somehow earned. Mike Pelfrey, for instance, earned a lucky win, his second of the season, like I mentioned before. It was lucky for Pelfrey especially, but the Tigers' offense, they'll take it all right. The Tigers' offense somehow exploded in that fifth inning, but that was score sheet wise the only inning that the Tigers could score at least one run. So now is the time for 5 questions. Are you ready, Ed?
Ready as I ever be. Let him rip, Taylor.
It's time for 5 questions on the Michigan Sports Truth on Spreaker.
Question number 1. How will the new NBA draft picks Henry Ellenson and Michael Benajay help the Pistons from here forward?
I think Benajay can give you a little bit more of that stretch 4 presence that they're trying to get here. Actually, what you saw with whenever they start either Morris or Harris at the 4 spot, you'd probably see a little bit too in Ellenson as well. But you're probably seeing more of, hopefully, a little bit more of an emphasis on trying to help you out down low on the boards as well. So, definite, like I said before, it's a little bit of a project, but I think it could be seen as a pick that helped turn the tide for this team going forward in the next few years.
Next question.
Question number 2. Who should the Pistons add in free agency?
Well, when you say who, it's a little bit of a wild shoe. If you had said what should they add, I would say, try to find yourself a valuable backup point guard. And I think this offseason is if as good as any to have a load of them. Just like this draft had a load of backup, good backup players, period, that could potentially wind up becoming good stars in the future. Now you just got to find your backup depth this season, this off season. And like I said, you need to focus more on what you can do in terms of finding a good enough guard or guards, plural, to help your second units and whatnot, while your starters are getting valuable rest minutes. And now you get the chance to either protect the lead, keep the game as close as possible, keep the game as close as possible. Now they need to focus on, okay, can we get a guard this offseason?
Keep in mind, NBA.com is your website to the free agent tracker and the free agent lists and the free agent signings. That starts Friday. Same for the NHL. Speaking of which,
next question.
Question number 3 was the trade involving the remainder of Pavel Datsuk's contract money to the Arizona Coyotes a benefit of the doubt for the Red Wings?
Benefit of the doubt.
Or just a benefit?
Way, I'm sorry. Benefit definitely, because like I said, the team was standing to take a massive hit.
I corrected myself there.
Yeah, they were going to take a massive hit to their cap space with Datsuk's retirement and the rules surrounding it. So the fact they found a way to trade away, bring up, give it to someone else, and free themselves up in the process was a win-win-win scenario, if you want to count it that way. It's a huge benefit without a doubt. The question is, can they keep up the momentum of it to possibly get themselves a big signing down the road?
Next question.
Question number 4. Are the Red Wings going to pick up Steven Stamkos?
And to use this as a segue now to question number 4, I'm as optimistic as you can be in terms of what I think can and could happen. But this choice may actually surprise you. This answer may surprise you. I'm actually leaning towards no. Not because trust me, I would love it if they got Stamkos. I'd be probably this excited. No, this would be the most excited I've been over a Red Wing free agency signing since Hasek in 2002. But I just don't see it happening because I can see another team coming out of nowhere at the 11th hour with a wild, crazy offer, whether it be the amount of money or years, and them having more flexibility with their cap space than what Detroit has. Remember, Detroit just became a little bit more free because they were able to deal away Datsuk's contract, but they don't have the space of some of these other teams here, so it's going to be quite interesting to see. Does the allure of that winged wheel could still attract a guy like Stamkos to come here? So this is one thing that's yet to remain to be seen. But at the moment, I'm leaning towards no.
Damn it! Next question.
And finally, question number 5: should the Tigers make a trade for a 5th starter, and who should it be?
A trade for a 5th starter. If I was going to say yes and on who it might be, I would like to, this would be a good chance to throw some humor and say, hey, why don't we get Doug Fister back? But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't necessarily know at the moment who they could go after if it came down to, okay, we need to get another starter. Just a guy to help us around at the back end, do a better job of what Pelfrey's doing, basically. I don't know who you could get at that moment. It seems they're all either tied up or they're free agents for a reason because they're not capable of performing to that quite a good level. So what the Tigers could do is maybe rely on one of their own from underneath, like a Shane Green, for instance, to step up, perform better, and try to take that 5th spot by force. Maybe that's what they're primarily depending on. But I think if it comes down to it, they're going to need a plan B. And, plan B could be, let's see what we can get, to have ourselves a fifth caliber adequate MLB starter on our rotation to see if we can get that guy by the end of the trade deadline. Because you would think that they have better hopes of trying to contend for the AL Central this year than what they did last year. I don't see them selling this year the way they did last year. Last year they had to. They don't need to this year.
I agree. I definitely agree. So for all the listeners and fans out there, if you want to answer those questions, just replay the episode and answer them in the comment bank below this episode as best you can. That's going to do it for episode 217 of the Michigan Sports Truth on Spreaker. Ed, thanks so much for your help. I'll talk to you again hopefully Sunday for episode 218, if not then later. We'll have to see what goes on in the free agency world.
Yeah, big start this upcoming weekend for both NHL and the NBA. Can't wait to see it start, Taylor.
Yeah, and we'll keep our audience posted and see if the Wings picked up anybody or not. And if they did, we'll report it to you and we'll analyze it. So Ed, rest easy. Have a good week of work. I'll hopefully talk to you on Sunday. Maybe we can try to organize things here.
Looking forward to it, Taylor.
All right, and for Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. If there's anything you fans want more of or less of on our podcast, please let us know. And you can follow us on Twitter at DT2Phillips and Ed Smith 313. This is Taylor Phillips saying TTFN, ta-ta for now.
Bon appétit.